I'm a miracle healing. I am a living testimony in Medjugorje. I was healed there.
This is Touched by Heaven, everyday encounters with God, those moments when heaven and earth collide, and we see God in these moments of encounter with angels, divine intervention, prophetic dreams, visions, near-death experiences. Welcome. I'm your host, Trapper Jack, and yes, I need your story. Contact me here at touchedbyheaven.net. Literally, we just walked in the door. I mean, literally, just walked in the door, and I rushed in here to you because we've been gone for 2.5 weeks on pilgrimage. The first one, of course, with Touched by Heaven listeners was Medjugorje for a week, which was incredible. More on that in the weeks to come. And then we joined our parish, which was on pilgrimage to Italy. So what I thought I would do, though, I want to have an episode this week. So I spunneth the wheel of Touched by Heaven and landed on episode 149. So this was like 4+ years ago. Sandra, who had been to Medjugorje and thought, this is ridiculous. People are saying they're seeing things and we're not seeing anything. I think they're all faking this stuff. And then came the miracle. She had brain cancer. And then, well, Medjugorje is Medjugorje. So let's get to Sandra as we revisit this incredible, miraculous healing story here on Touched by Heaven, everyday encounters with God. If you're there, Sandra.
I'm here.
How you doing?
Good. Hold on. I can't really hear you, though.
Okay. Can you hear me now? Starting to sound like a commercial, isn't it? Can you hear me now? No. Well, anyway, Sandra's family is from Colombia. She grew up in New York and now lives in Florida. She has been to Medjugorje a number of times. Her mom, a devout Catholic, became even more devout after going to Medjugorje. She's now been there 8 times.
There were still things of the world that we did, like the parties and things like that. But that all changed, once my mother started going to Medjugorje and she became closer to God and,
And after being there about 3 times, she decided that Sandra needed to go as well, she and her sister, because Sandra was in need of a healing. A tumor of where?
In my brain, my pituitary.
Oh. So at this point, so you're about 18 years old.
Growth in my... It was a tumor. It was a small tumor at that point.
And what effect is that having on you overall?
My menstrual cycle and headaches.
Where is your pituitary located?
The way the doctor was explained to me is if you stick a pencil up your nose, you will hit your pituitary gland. So it goes directly behind your eyes. So it's right in the middle. That's where it is. The gland that controls your hormones, pretty much. It controls your periods for women. It also, you could gain, I gained a lot of weight when I first got it. From when I was diagnosed, I gained 50 pounds in that 1 year. Some people grow very, very tall. So it controls your hormones. And I think that's probably why my mother took me the first time. She took me in 2003 the first time with my sister, my older sister. And I didn't really see anything. I'll be honest with you, the first time. And everybody kept saying, oh, I see the dancing of the sun. I see a miracle. They all kept claiming something. And we didn't see nothing. I was already starting to, feel like, oh my God, everybody here is so fake. Either people here are very full of crap. I'll be honest with you. I'm sorry for saying it that way.
No, but I get you. It's okay, something's going on because I'm not seeing this. So
every single person was like, oh, I see the dancing of the sun. I see the dancing. Did you see, every single person. I was like, wow, everybody must be blessed and we're not. That's the way, we were starting to think, we almost felt like everybody was starting to make it up. I believe that some people get to see things, but every single person got to see, something like that. We made it to the border right before we were crossing Croatia. We were on the bus. We turned and we saw the dancing of the sun for the first time, right before we turned. And we were looking and we're like, oh my God, it's true.
And you both saw it at the same time.
We both saw it at the same time.
Oh, what a gift. And explain it for those who don't know what that means. What did you see?
So the sun starts to go in a circle, around in the circle moving. And this was changing colors from pink to blue to yellow to white, and it's it looks like it's dancing, going around in circles, circular motion.
So at this point, everyone's no longer crazy.
Yeah. I did get to experience it, and ever since then, I do see it, every now and then. But then my mother, they offered her another trip, that there were going to be another trip to Medjugorje, and she wanted to take me again. And the day she paid for me to go, this was like about a month before the trip was supposed to take place. I kid you not, like my head started going crazy. It felt like a semi truck inside my head.
And you were how old at this point?
25 years old.
Okay. So, hey, you're going, and then your head starts exploding too. Okay.
It was, because I was out of medication. I had not taken medication now for about 6 months. I was off the medication.
Sandra couldn't afford the pills. She had lost her job and therefore lost her insurance. And these pills over a year cost thousands of dollars.
It felt like I had a semi in my head. Like it was just not headaches. It was also like I could feel the shaking and I could hear the noise in my head. So it was like all three things at the same time. And then, my mother was like, what's going on with you? And I'm like, I'm going crazy. I can't take this. Like, I'm going to go crazy. My head has been shaking. And she gave me the money to go to the doctor. He looks at me. He was like, but if you don't get on this medication, you're going to lose your eyesight any moment. He was like, that's what's going to happen to you. You're going to lose. He was like, it's pressing on your optic nerve, and it's just grown to the point that you're going to lose your eyesight.
In the meantime, are you not going back to get the pills because mom and dad will pay then or not?
I got on the pills. I did.
Okay.
But I'm still experiencing these headaches.
Okay.
And I'm still feeling the shaking.
So now there's this group ready to head over to Medjugorje. In the group, there's a priest, a skeptic, not sure what's going on over there. Let's see, who else is in this? Of course, Sandra, her mom, a sister, and then there's this friend of the family.
Who's a seer. She gets messages through God. Before our trip, she comes to visit. We've done prayers with her, in the past. And she comes and she's going to pray over us. And so she puts her hands over me, but I close my eyes. When she's praying over me, I thought somebody came into the room because I felt like someone turned on the light switch or something. Did you see that? And I'm like, what? She was like, he's going to heal you. And I'm like, really? And she was like, I saw God put his light inside your head. And I'm like, I felt like someone came into the room and turned on the light switch. She was like, well, he's going to heal you. So then our trip comes, and the very first day, I did not feel that noise or the shaking or whatever in my head. All that was the day I got on that plane to go to Medjugorje. That was the very first day I didn't feel nothing in my head. Like it was just gone. I tell my mom, I was like, Mommy, I don't feel nothing for the first time. I feel good. Maybe God's doing his, miracle in you already. So we go there and, it's like right before the apparition. We get there like 4 days, maybe before the apparition. Mirjana's birthday.
What's the day?
March 18, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay. So this was back when she was having monthly visits, right?
Yeah. Yes. And it was me, my mother. This time it's my younger sister, the lady who's a seer. The lady who took the organizers, her name is Regina. So Regina knows Visca.
She is one of the visionaries, the oldest.
So she pulls us to the side. Regina pulls me and my mother to the side. And she was like, listen, I'm going to take a chance and go to Visca's house and see if she'll pray over your daughter. But I can't take no one else. But she was taking the priest who was on the trip with us and another lady who was supposedly going through a lot of problems. She was like, it's just going to be us four in the cabin. That's it. Nobody else. And Visca opens the door and she sees Regina. She's like, hi, Regina. She knows her from the past. And she's like, yes, come inside, come inside. She has 2 sofas, So she first starts, she's like, okay, I'm going to ask you guys to close your eyes and just go into prayer. So, okay. So I closed my eyes, but before I closed my eyes, I did see that she put one hand over the priest and one hand over the other lady, and she starts praying over them. But when she comes to us, I felt 2 hands. I didn't feel one hand. I felt 2 hands. So she starts praying over me. And as she's praying, the old films that were like a reel, that reel that's going around in a circle and you see in the picture on the wall. And it's
Yeah, kind of flickering. What do you know?
Yeah. So I start seeing that in my head, but I'm seeing the passion.
It's like a black and white reel of Jesus and the passion?
In the passion. So he's on the cross. It's almost black and white, but it was more because of the darkness of the clouds in the back, So I could see Jesus on the cross and his head is down, and I could see his mother on her knees crying, and she's wearing like a black mantle, and she was down like crying, looking on the floor. But then I see as she looks, like she lifts her head to look up at her son, and he's all bloodied on the cross. And in between that, I keep seeing a vision of a man, like long hair, almost like dirty blonde, like light brown hair. And I could see the beard on him. And it's just like that vision of that man. And then I could see the between the flickering, the vision of the passion, and I could see it. It's like in slow motion, she's looking down and she lifts her head with tears in her eyes and she's looking at her son. But then I could see a man, like a face of a man with like dirty blonde hair.
You just see his face, so you're seeing the passion, and then you're seeing this guy's face, and it's going back and forth. And you're wondering who that guy is.
Yes. Obviously, I can't see what he's wearing. I don't see nothing he's wearing. I just see his face. Then it just stops. She stops praying. It's like as if it went away when she stopped praying.
Now, the priest who had just received a prayer is a former doctor, and he's watching as Sandra receives her prayer and told Sandra's mother this.
Visca's the real thing. Medjugorje is the real thing. Everything's the real thing. And she was like, what did you see? He was like, I didn't have no experience for myself. I didn't see nothing at all. I have medical background to understand certain things. And when she stopped praying over me, I opened my eyes and she went to your daughter. And she put one hand over your daughter and one over Regina to pray over. And as soon as she started praying over your daughter went into these big convulsions. That those type of convulsions she's had only come from two different type of things. One is some epilepsy, I forgot, some disorder, or the other one could be from having a pituitary tumor. When the pituitary is to the point that you're going to go blind, you have like 6 months to live. And she went into those convulsions that I could tell they're from the pituitary gland. And her convulsions were so strong that Visca, as frail looking as she was, she had that one hand over your daughter. So that's how we came to find out it was only one hand. But I felt two hands.
Were you aware at all that you were having convulsions?
Not at all. So where Apparition Hill is, to the side, like 50 feet away, 100 feet away, something like that, there's a cross. There is a cross. It's just a cross, wooden cross. That's it. And there's a man who was part of our group, our pilgrimage. He's at the cross and he's crying hysterically. He's crying hysterically, like very loud, like begging God for forgiveness. And, he's like, please have mercy on us, God, please have mercy on us. And he's crying. I'm looking at him like, I'm not used to this type of stuff. I'll be honest with you. That same day we had that Visca prayed over us. We had dinner, and after dinner, he's like, can I tell you guys something? I would really like to have an announcement.
This man who's about to make the announcement is the guy who was crying earlier at the cross, wailing, asking for forgiveness. The other part of the story is that he has been to confession. He's done his confession, but in the midst of the confession, out of nowhere, the priest stops him and says, "Oh, by the way, those messages you've received, you've got to tell people." This is out of nowhere. He said nothing to lead the priest to say this, and the priest said, "You've got to tell him."
Everybody's like, "Okay," everybody stays quiet. So he was crying because he said he saw more bloodshed coming for New York. But he also received a message that there was someone on that trip that had a brain tumor, that when she got back to New York, they were going to find out that she was healed. When he mentions about the girl with the brain tumor, my sister started crying, like bawling. So everybody on the trip thinks it's her because she's crying and crying. And I'm looking at him like, who do you know? Like, who have you spoken to? Like, I don't know you. Like, why would you say this?
And you're not saying anything about your own condition. You're not telling anybody anything.
Oh, no. And I'm going to tell you a quick thing with the guy who was crying. We made a connection. We come back through Frankfurt. He had been unemployed for, I don't know how many months, close to a year. He was about to even get evicted. He was stopped by a lady at the airport out of nowhere. And she goes, "Our lady sends you this." And it's an envelope. She gives him an envelope. He has no idea who the lady is. She just hands him an envelope. He goes, "I'm not even going to open this. I'll open it when I get home." He sticks it in his pocket, goes home. And when he gets home, he comes to find out there's $10,000 that was enough to cover all his back pays of his rents and bills that he didn't get to pay.
Wow. That's a wow. Wow.
That's a wow.
Yeah.
The next day was going to be the apparition. So that night, my mother's friend, who's a seer, is like, "I think we need to hold a vigil up at the mountain tonight. Like, we need to prepare ourselves for whatever graces might happen to us. We need to prepare ourselves."
We are going to pause right here, but coming up, Sandra is going to take us to Apparition Hill and a miracle and the aftermath of that miracle. Our Patreon shout out this week goes to Anne. Just Anne? Just Anne. Thanks, Anne, for joining the Patreon family to make this go week to week. And Anne, of course, believes what we do, that these stories need to be out there to help people confirm the faith that they think is there. Is definite confirmation, and also helps bring people back into the fold who have wandered away. So thanks for helping the cause, Anne. You can do the same by coming to touchedbyheaven.net and just clicking your way through to patreon.com, or go directly there and search for Trapper Jack. Thanks so much.
At midnight, we go to pray in as a vigil up in Apparition Hill at midnight, which is like March. It is the coldest mountain. Europe at that time in the winter is so cold, but we did this vigil before the apparition, and we're praying the rosary. We stood there till like 6:00 in the morning, and we prayed and we prayed and we prayed. And then the next day was going to be the apparition. We know when the apparition starts, just because, I don't know, you could just feel it when it's going to start. And as soon as the apparition starts, she goes down and we start praying. And I could feel like this heaviness come into my head as soon as it starts. But I'm thinking, oh my God, my head is going to start acting up again. Like, really? Like, I'm trying to concentrate and I could feel like a weight in my head. My mother's friend is receiving graces, the seer. And, she says she saw the Virgin Mary there and she saw the archangels during the apparition. And I'm praying, I don't see nothing, but I could feel this weight on my head. And then the apparition stops. We all go home. But as we go home that day, from that day on, everyone is telling me, "Are you okay? Like, you look like you're glowing." And I'm like, "Really?" They're like, "Yeah, your face is so bright." And everybody nobody knows it's me though, with the brain tumor, and nobody even suspects it's me. They're like, "Wow, you for some reason you changed. You look like you're glowing. There's a glow to you." Everyone is stopping me in part of this group telling me this. So that night, after the whole apparition, we went shopping, for souvenirs or whatever. And me and my mother go into a store, and I see a picture of Jesus. But this time I could tell it's the long hair with the beard, but I could see the face. I'm like, that's the man I saw. It was just a picture of Jesus I've never saw. And it's just a picture of Jesus. I could see the face. I'm like, that's the face I kept seeing, because his hair is, long and he has a beard. And that's the man I was seeing in my visions between the passion, and, so my mother.
What do you make of that? What do you make? Do you think that was just so you could make a connection with that picture? What do you think God was up to in that? Showing you, breaking away from the passion to show you Christ in another way. What do you make of that?
I guess that, through Jesus, he was healing me. I don't know, because I don't deserve any of it. To this day, I don't feel like I was worthy of it. I'll be honest with you. I don't feel, there's so many people that were more, who were more into God than I was at that time,
Yeah, but that's the seduction part. He comes after us that way through healing and makes us aware. Were you feeling any different after the prayer?
After the apparition, remember I told you I felt the heaviness? When the apparition finished, it went away, the heaviness. And then everybody kept telling me. So I felt good again. I just felt that heaviness in my head.
Yeah.
And the apparition finished and the heaviness went away. And then everybody kept saying, you're glowing, you're glowing, you're glowing. Your face is. Everybody kept telling me you're glowing. Nobody suspects that it's me with the tumor. Everybody.
So you're glowing. You don't have any heaviness, and you're feeling pretty good.
Yeah, I was feeling very good, and then we bought that picture of Jesus because my mother was like, well, that's a testimony. My daughter saw him in vision, and that was it. We went back to the States. Yeah, I come back. I make an appointment immediately with the doctor. So I get my MRI done and I go to see my doctor for my follow-up, to see what the results are. And he tells me, he's like, well, I got your report on your MRI and I don't know what to tell you, but it just seems like it went away. It's gone. Your tumor is gone. And I'm like, me and my sister look at each other because my sister went with me. We look at each other and we just start laughing. And he was like, what's so funny? He was like, I'm like, because I knew this, I already knew the outcome. I just came here for the medical proof, to have the evidence. And he said, what evidence? I said, I went in March to Medjugorje and I had a miracle healing, in Medjugorje. I knew that I was healed and everything. I've been good ever since that day, since I went on that trip. He said, well, he, like a doctor or scientist or whatever, he was just like, well, miracle or no miracle, it's gone.
Stuff happens, lady, stuff happens,
Yeah, he was like, it's just gone. It's no longer.
Oh, that's great. What a great story.
Yeah, he tells me also that, just to let you know, you can't ever get pregnant. That the cells, are still there. So he was just like, you're just not going to be able to get pregnant. I ended up having 3 kids in total.
Not bad. Not bad.
3 kids. They're all my miracle little babies.
Amen.
So.
Amen. So, what a story you are. What a story you are, Sandra.
Yes.
Yeah. And so does the medical world want to know your story, or do they just kind of shrug and go, I don't know, stuff happens?
Yeah. I've gone to more than one doctor and it's like, oh, like they just shrug it off like,
Yeah, stuff happens.
They don't, they're like, he's just like miracle, not miracle, it's gone. And he just shrugged it off like, whatever, it just disappeared.
See, this is what needs to be known inside the church.
Mm-hmm.
It's one thing for Jesus to heal the withered hand and the leprosy. He's still healing. He healed you, Sandra. He healed you.
No, he did. He did.
Through his mom.
I think through Mary, God healed me. Because it was in Medjugorje. It was her apparition.
Mm-hmm.
But obviously God was already doing his magic.
It's the power of God through Mary and all that. Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. See, this is where the church is missing out, This is the alive Jesus walking around today. This is the alive Mary walking around today. This is God alive and well and walking with us today. And you're a perfect example of that. He's done something incredible. There's amazing things going on in Medjugorje.
And that saddens me because so many people don't believe it. And I'm a miracle healing. I am a living testimony in Medjugorje. I was healed there. Yes. And I'm like, do you know how many people have been healed there? How many testimonies come out of Medjugorje? And not only that, the messages of Our Lady is pray, convert, confession.
Yeah, it's all about repent for your sins. It's all about go to mass, read the Bible, pray your rosary, fast. It's all good.
I tell my mother, I'm like, it's just I feel we don't have no time anymore. Our time is running out, and if we don't convert.
Mary said, these are her final apparitions. Medjugorje is going to wrap it up. Do I have that right?
Yes.
The good news is when Mary said, "My Immaculate Heart will triumph." So somehow we win in the bottom of the ninth.
We do. Little by little, God has been reeling me in like a fishing rod.
Mm-hmm.
I don't find that I was worthy of it, but he's been reeling me in. And I try to raise my kids, explaining to them why, it's not just about going to church. It's about that relationship with God, so I try to really, really raise them in the faith, and I try to show them what's going on in the world now, that it's just not the same world that I grew up in.
But your story inspires, and your story tells us the truth, and your story tells us that Jesus is still walking with us, and that, God bless you and your healing, and the fact that led you to this greater relationship, because you are correct. It's not just about going to church. It's about the relationship. He wants the relationship.
Yeah, especially during these trying times. We really need to look for God more than ever.
Amen. Thanks, Sandra. And once again, the way to measure Medjugorje is by the fruit, the conversions. You got 40, 50 million people going over there. The number of people going into the confessionals, the number of conversion stories, of course, the miracles. And with 3 of the 6 visionaries having received all 10 secrets from Mary, the other 3 have received 9. Once they all get all 10, then other things start happening as we get closer to what? The end of an age? More to come from Medjugorje. Thank you so much for listening, and I'll see you next week here on Touched by Heaven. Everyday encounters with God. Come back next week, and I'll tell you why I eat light bulbs.
Are you okay? You look like you're glowing.